The museum wasn't such a popular place anymore. Several years ago, people would come in to admire the art galleries and the fossils, but now most had little interest in such historical events. They had all what as they assumed were better things to do, and of course, these better things were mostly little time wasters. Televisions, films, and whatever they could do on their fancy technological equipment held more interest for them. And so most of those pieces of the past were neglected in their favor. The curator would keep everything shiny and clean and happily greet the handful of people who had taken interest in such things. And whenever a young person would come by and he'd do whatever he could to influence them to come back. This rarely worked. However, one visitor kept returning. This young woman named Karen Stevens took a lot of interest in paintings, and she often would draw and sketch, wishing to become an artist herself. She had recently graduated from high school and sought a job working at a museum. The curator recalled how one of their young janitors had mysteriously disappeared and assumed that he had just quit his job without warning. So he offered her that position. Without hesitation, she took the job. She kept a few of the floors very clean and would wipe them down the glass cases to sparkling perfection. She enjoyed her job very much, hoping to eventually become a guide for whoever came into the view exhibits. Since there weren't that many visitors, her job wasn't too hard, but one thing's always bothered her. There was a locked room that none of the keys on her belt would open. Being inquisitive, she had to wonder what was behind that door. Was the curator hiding something from her? She just had to know. With each day she worked there, her curiosity grew, though she was only paid minimum wage. She just had enough to purchase a set of lockpicks from an online bidding website, and with enough practice she was starting to get pretty good at picking locks. Mischievous ideas danced through her mind. She could have sold a lot of things locked away in that glass cases and made her a break for it to get more money. But she knew her conscience would have punished her for it. After all, there was only one thing she wanted. She wanted to see what was behind that door. She finally had enough courage. She cleaned up the entire place and she finally approached that locked door. All sorts of ideas ran through her head about what might be in there. Was it just a storage closet? Maybe there were priceless artifacts inside? Or maybe it was just broken junk. She didn't know what was in there, but she absolutely had to find out. Her blue eyes shifted about nervously, and as she picked the lock, she never imagined that door was locked for a reason. All sorts of junk was in there. Nothing seemed impressive at first. Some of the items stowed away were statues and such that could have been taken off display due to damage. A few paintings were also there, probably ones that were far too expensive to restore. She cautiously moved a few, only to find the one that seemed to be in perfect condition. Why was it in there? Shouldn't it be hung up? She looked at it over, and it appeared to be a self-portrait. The young man in the picture was quite handsome. Who was he? She? He smiled faintly, slightly charmed, yet she touched the painting. A sharp pain jumped through her arm. She cringed and only opening her eyes to realize that she couldn't move. She was now looking into the rest of the storage room from where the paintings was. Trapped inside, she knew the young man who was in the painting in that room and swiftly made a break for it. Now Karen was trapped inside the painting, able to see but do no more. If only someone else would take her place inside that accursed painting. Nobody ever saw Karen after that. The next day, the curator spotted the young man who used to work there, curled up in a corner next to an exhibit of Native American history, mumbling senselessly about a cursed painting. The curator only sighed. He thought he had hidden that thing well enough, and it was family heirloom, so he felt some more strange attachment to it. The jolted young man was promptly sent home and scheduled to see a therapist. Of course, the curator could never tell anyone that there was any truth behind his matin ramblings. He walked into the storage closet to examine the painting, along with the other apparent junk inside. Oh, Karen, I thought you were smarter than that. I suppose that we'll all just have to wait until somebody else gets their little curious, won't we? A disappointed sigh escaped him as he left the room. Picking up the lockpick collection, he had pocketed them and closed and locked the door behind him. Hopefully this would be the last time someone got a tad bit nosy. He hated to imagine what would happen if someone found that ancient puzzle. It would have been even worse if someone found the book written in a mysterious language that he couldn't identify. Shaking his head, he rubbed his temples. It was hard to be a collector of rarities, especially when his co-workers were as curious as kittens. Now behind that locked door, Karen awaits for her freedom. She isn't the only one. Joseph is trapped in a book with her written in a mysterious language. Eleanor found her way into a storage room after solving a puzzle that released an odd being into the world. Who knows what other things could be hidden inside that room. But you can ask the poor young man that was trapped in the canvas that now holds Karen captive. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 of words.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video. And I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.